Welcome to Chuck's World of Infinite Mojo, brought to you by Holy Chuck Burgers. Our business is burgers.
Good morning, Katarina Witt. There's no such thing as bad boys, only boys with bad hair.
Sponsored by Maxwell's Clothiers, your bespoke tailor since 1961. And now, your host of Chuck's World of Infinite Mojo, Chuck Bastie. Hello. Thanks for tuning in. This is Chuck's World of Infinite Mojo, and this episode is brought to you by Padskins, as you can see behind Chuck's head there. I'm Cam LaRock, your producer, and of course, I'm with the host of the show, Chuck Bastie. Chuck, what's going on?
Thanks, Cam. Thank you for bringing in the Padskins, because Padskins is one of these product lines that is near and dear to my heart. It's not just always about hair products on Chuck's World, but Padskins to me has been a real game changer, because I've got the ability to see young goalies, young players, because there's pad skins, there's cage skins, there's pant skins, there's palm skins, but pad skins, they just transform a kid's confidence. You take a goalie who's got regular gear and be able to get him to get color coordinated, to have him identify as part of the team, look like a pro, play like a pro. You know, you don't have to be a pro to look like one. And it's pennies a glass. It's really, really inexpensive to look really great. Look original, be original. So we want to thank Mark Phillips for sponsoring this segment for Padskins as well. And just really appreciate his support moving forward in the hockey circles. He's a great guy, and we're lucky to have him on board. So that being said, we want to thank Padskins and introduce Pete Fry. He's our goalie mindset guy, and he's coming to Toronto and Montreal 22nd and 23rd, respectively, of December. And let's bring Pete up. There he is.
Great to see you guys.
Great to have you on board, Pete Fry. How you doing?
Good, Chuck. Yourself?
I'm doing great. Your books look great behind you there.
Yes, they are. That's my background. That's my background.
You know, it's funny because when I was out in Vancouver back in September, I picked up this bad boy right here.
No.
And then I picked up this bad boy right here.
Yes, good for you.
I'm not sure if you saw they stole those books off your of your dining room counter there, but I really wanted to have you on the show because you're coming to Toronto and you're going to be coming to Montreal on the 22nd, 23rd of December. And you and I have known each other for a few years now. And one of the things I love about your platform is that you just ooze positivity and mindset. And, you know, I always say that state of mind is really important, especially in a goalie's life. You played professional hockey as a goalie. You're drafted by the Devils as well. You played overseas, played junior hockey out in BC as well. But I thought we'd just talk more about the mental game and why you're able to do what you do to give kids confidence and routine, so that way when they go on the ice, they can be the best version of themselves.
100%. And first of all, the reason why I do what I do and I work with goaltenders on the mental side is because when I played, I was so messed up mentally. And I can tell you story after story after story from, you know, when I was 15 years old, I first got brought up to the Western Hockey League. And, you know, we're playing against guys that are 18, 19, 20. Cam Neely, who's the president of the Boston Bruins, he was on the team in Portland. A lot of good players. John Kordick, who, you know, since passed away. It was a lot of really good players. And I remember they said, don't worry, you're just going to sit on the bench. You're not going to play. And a minute into the first game, we're on the road. We're in Medicine Hat. And the other goalie, Bruno Kempesi, who won the Stanley Cup with Vegas last year as a scout, Bruno was my goalie partner that night. And he gets run a minute into the game. And the coach looks at me and he's like, Peter, get in. I just, the day before I was sitting in science class in grade 10 when I got the call to come to join the team on the road trip. And I just, a week before, I saw them play in Victoria they're the Victoria Cougars at the time. And I was like blown away. I was intimidated. I'd never been so scared in my life. Like I've never been so scared as that moment. And really, if you step back and look at it, the reason I was so scared because I didn't have any mental skills back then. I didn't have any strategies or techniques, and that's what I'm able to give to the goaltenders now. And it works so well. I'm gonna brag a little bit, yet it's not a brag. It's like the reason why the reason it works so well is because I'm very specific in what I do with goaltenders on the mental side. I went through it myself as a goaltender, and then after I stopped playing, when I came back from Sweden, and I was supposed to go back and sign and play the next year. I think I was 23, 24, and I didn't get re-signed. And I remember I was basically a manic depressant. If I had gotten diagnosed by a psychiatrist or psychologist back then, I guarantee they would have said I was a manic depressant back then, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I was probably on the verge of suicidal, and I had a neighbor give me this personal development program, and like you need to freaking listen to this is what they said. You need to take this, and so I started to, and I was like, wow. This is amazing. This stuff works, and I thought, I learned more in this program on the mind than I had in any schooling I had ever taken in my life. And so what that did for me, that allowed me to have, it gave me a spark. It gave me a spark. And from there, I dove in to the whole power of the mind. And I took every seminar, I studied, I went to every course. I've done fire walking, I've done fire eating, I've done glass walking, I've done board breaking, fire board breaking, arrow breaking with the neck, rebar bending with the neck, everything you can think of to freak the mind out. Of course, the cold tubs now. Cold tubs are pretty popular with people now, and studied the power of the mind. And then I was able to take it. And I had a previous company that went up and down and crashed, and it was challenging. And then back in 2016 or 17, Eli Wilson. Eli is one of the very, very best in the game when it comes to goalie coaches. He is phenomenal. He was Ottawa Senators goalie coach when Ray Emery was there, right? He was Ottawa Senators, and Eli has his Eli Wilson goaltending schools. And back in 2016, he's like, Pete, you should come speak in my camps to the kids and talk to them about the mental side. And so I thought, okay, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that, Eli. So I traveled with Eli for a couple of summers. And during the camps, I had people coming up to me saying, this was phenomenal. Like we got so much out of it. And I thought, wow, this is something that I felt I had to go on a mission to basically share this with people. And that's when I started really diving into my company now, the Goalie Mindset training, and working with goaltenders specifically on the mindset, on their giving them strategies for confidence, strategies for bounce back, strategies for dealing with a coach that is super negative. Because one of the challenges with a goaltender is, and Chuck, I'll let you talk in a minute here. One of the
well, hang on. I'm just gonna cut you out there for a second because you brought something up that I want to talk about. Like we're talking about control the controllables, and like until I actually met you, I hadn't even heard that phrase. What is outside of your control? And as a goalie, all of this is outside of my control. I played really great hockey or high level hockey, not pro like you did, but when I'm playing with former pros, what I found I was doing, I was just giving away all my energy. I was having bad reactions to goals, unfit expectations of where I thought I should have been in my game on that particular day or that particular week. And I would just take myself really out of the game. And it wasn't until Mike Gartner, former, pro and Hall of Famer, he came up to me and just said, hey, Chuck, like when you're playing with us, you start off like a cannon on fire, but at the end of the game, you got nothing left in your tank. And it's not because I wasn't in good shape. I was in good shape. It's just that mentally what I was doing, I was just, taking myself out of the game with negative self-talk and self-loathing. I'm like, oh, I should have had that. And I've seen you work with your clients right now on mentally framing their games, reinforcing it, going through, your mindset as well. And I thought this is just an amazing tool because that's not something most people talk about. But with goalies, they're always talking about X's and O's. but then you bring a whole new level of like mental training to the table of making sure that that guy gets into control of the controllables. And I thought we could just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, 100%. See, a goaltender has a position that has more uncontrollables than any other position on the planet. There's no, and no one's ever, if you can think of one that has more uncontrollables than a goaltender, let me know. I don't think there is. Some people say maybe a quarterback, not even close, not even close. Like one of my clients last game, he was in a shootout, and what happened was the goalie on the other team was 6'9". And so when he got to his crease is all beat up, chopped up, the gouges everywhere, and he's coming, he's backing up to make a save on the shootout, and his skate goes into a rut, and he basically he was frozen there, and the guy noticed it and just shot it, and he didn't make the save. They lost the game. And uncontrollable, and uncontrollable. A goalie has so many uncontrollables, and it would be like this. It would be like, if you think of, like, Chuck, who's your favorite artist or performer or singer?
Well, the Beatles.
Okay, so let's say the Beatles. They're pretty good, right? The Beatles, they're up there and they're singing. What's your favorite song by the Beatles?
Oh God, pick one. I Want to Hold Your Hand.
I want to hold your hand. Yeah, let's hear you sing it. Okay, there we go. So they're singing that song. I want to hold your, and they're just they're going to town. They're going nuts. And there's someone in front of the stage and has got a fire hose and is pointing it at their guitar, at their microphone, and just going back and forth at that fire hose. That's what it's like being a goalie, because they can still perform well. They're still singing, playing the guitar as they normally would, but the result isn't there because of the uncontrollables. And that's what it's like being a goaltender. Give you an example. One of my clients, he's with the New York Rangers organization. Last year, he had one of the only 350-plus save shutouts in the Western Hockey League in the last 20 years. And so he called me after the game, and he's like, Pete, this is pretty funny, because, the GM came in after and, told everyone how great I was and stuff like that. And he goes, last game I played better and we lost 5-1. I had a better performance. I didn't get the result, but I was better, and we lost 5-1. And at the end of the game, the GM came in and he lambasted me in front of the whole team, told me how terrible I was. And I was great, yet the result wasn't there. And so one of the challenges for goaltenders is that they are coached by head coaches who know nothing about goaltending, and all they do is they see if the puck goes in or doesn't go in.
Yeah,
that's all they see. So the goalie needs to be able to deal with that. And then they also need to deal with, just like a baseball player, they got to deal with failure consistently. You think of it, the best goaltender in the world, the next 10 games, how many games is he going to get a shutout? Is he going to be perfect? Maybe 1 out of 10. And so
you bring up a really good point on that. When I go with that, I talk about capacity. And when you talk about young goalies, it's about really building capacity. Like you said, it's your relationship with failure on the ice, off the ice. It doesn't matter whether you're on because like the muscles that you're building as a young kid, using hockey as a tool or as a game or as a metric, is going to set you up for how you play out in the world. And I think every single parent can get behind that, because if you give kids smaller wins, you give them a chance to feel better about themselves. Now you're giving them confidence, you're giving them self-esteem, and now you're giving them tools, like I see with you and how you mentor your goalies on your calls, and then how they reinforce that. And then, like I said, they're going to go out there, they're going to lose, they're going to fail famously, but it's their relationship to failure when they come back of how they reframe that. Just because I lost doesn't make me a loser. Whereas when you and I grew up playing hockey, we looked at ourselves as losers. And then that has a negative impact on your brain. And you just don't get out of that. You're in hijack. And from that point there, if you can move forward, I think every parent can get behind how their kid deals with adversity and how they deal with perseverance. So that way they get back on the train and start going. So give us a couple of tips as well of what people are going to get from your program. And obviously in your talks when you're coming to Toronto, Montreal, if they want to come out. But what are they going to get some takeaways for parents that are paying for this?
Well, here's a huge takeaway, and a lot of times during my seminars I welcome parents as well too. If you know if they're okay, if the kid's okay with them coming in and watching, I welcome parents to be there to watch, and sometimes I make the parents take part too. One of the things that I do is I do with the goaltenders. It's a superpower, and it's a confidence anchor. It's a confidence anchor. We're always doing things through associations. You go back to Pavlov's dogs. You know, Pavlov had a dog and he brought out food. The dog would salivate. He'd ring a bell. He did it again and again and again and again. Eventually, you didn't need the food. You could just ring the bell. So I do the same thing with the movement for goaltenders and confidence. And so if you watch one of the recent videos on our Instagram, that's goalie_mindset. That's the Insta. You'll see Caden Primo, one of my clients with the Montreal Canadiens. So you'll see him last game just before the puck drops. He does his confidence anchor, right? Is where he does it. So, and he does it so that he feels totally confident. And you think about it as a goaltender, when do you play your very best? When do you feel like you can stop every puck? After you've made a couple saves. But you can create that in the mind. You can create that through movement in the body before it even starts. They will learn superpowers just like the confidence anchor, bounce back as well too for when they don't make a save. How do you go through a game and still feel as confident when it is 5-1 as opposed to if you're up 1-0? And one of my clients, I got a text from him after a game, and he basically he lost 6-5. He lost 6-5 in a game. And I text him after and go, that's the most shots you've had in a National Hockey League game. I go, you're making progress. Because I wasn't sure, because some guys kind of, they get a little upset. And he texts me back. He's like, yes, that was the best game I've played in the National Hockey League. Didn't come up with 6 saves. But recognize the difference between performance and the result.
Yeah.
Because there's so
many. That's huge for kids because they don't have the tools at young age to really go through that distinction. So the fact that you're actually taking them through is giving those kids and their parents the ability to see the difference in how my kid is reacting or responding. And that's a huge distinction.
Yes.
And you and I talked about this back in the summertime. I had like probably one of the top 3 games of my entire life. I'm 51. So I've been playing goal since I've been 8 years old. Right. And you asked me, like, what was the difference? And I'm like, you know what? I got a shutout. They threw everything at me. I don't think I've played that well in 10 years. And you ask me, what happened? And I'm like, I stopped thinking. My body is trained to stop pucks. I've been doing it for over 40 years. When I take myself out of that and I stop thinking or stop trying to hyper focus and I just allow my body to do what it's been trained to do subconsciously, I just came up with the save. I didn't think, how am I going to do this? I just reacted to it because I was dialed in. And, if you can replicate that, and you can't always do that, but if you can replicate that more often than not, you're going to have a lot more success. You brought up
when's your next game, Chuck? What are you playing next?
Tonight.
Oh, you are? Okay. If you want, before we leave the podcast, I will take you through a little shortened version of a pregame visualization that I do for my clients.
I've heard that on the phone as well, and it's super powerful.
Yeah, I'll do that for you. We'll finish off with that. So you guys got to make sure you stick around. Just if you can do that, or you have your goaltender listen to this, it is like a superpower. It is a superpower.
Let's do that at the end of the show because I want someone to take that away of that.
Yeah.
But before we go, we're going to come back to the workshops you're doing, but I wanted to talk a little bit about Dylan Ferguson. Because
yes,
that was
I just got a message from Dylan. I took him through a visualization at 4:30 a.m. this morning. I got up and he still likes to do them live. A lot of clients, I'll do them. I'll record them, send them the recording, but Dylan still likes to do it live. So yeah, he called me from Moscow at 4:30 a.m.
He's playing with Minsk this year, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So if you don't know who Dylan Ferguson is, you have to Google him, but he had a wonderful story last year. I talked to him on the phone a couple of times. He was with the Marlies organization with the Leafs. He had a PTO. He wasn't very happy. He had a conversation with Pete one day, and Pete just said, "Hey, listen, why don't you do this?" And Dylan just took the bull by the horns, made a call. The Marlies ended up trading him to Ottawa, to the organization. He went out to Belleville. And then next thing you know, he gets to start against the Pittsburgh Penguins in Pittsburgh. And Pete gets this call. He flies down to Pittsburgh like a great mentoring coach. And what happened, Pete?
He stood on. He stole the game. Stole the
Stole
game
the game.
for the Ottawa Senators. Yeah, there you go. You can see that right there, right? Totally stole the game.
And that one game that he stole against the Penguins cost the Penguins going to the playoffs.
I know.
Because they finished a point out of the playoffs. And if Dylan Ferguson doesn't play that game right now, and that was a gimme game for Pittsburgh to beat Ottawa. They weren't very good in the standings. But if he doesn't come in,
and you know what? Yeah, and I got to add something too as far as Dylan goes. They wanted to go with Dylan the next game, but he was like cramping up and stuff like that, and so he decided not to go, and that cost him going on. Like he could have had like the remember Andrew Hammond? He could have had the similar hamburger run. Like yeah, for that. So, but now Dylan, like going back and forth working. I'm working with Dylan as he's in Russia right now, and he, if that was to happen again, he would fight through it. He's learned that now. Like he has learned to embrace some of the, because it's not always comfortable. It can be painful. You can have bumps and bruises and sores as a pro goalie, and he's learned to look at it like it's still a lot easier than it was back in 1960 when Glenn Hall would take a puck in the mouth. They would stitch his mouth up and send him back on the ice to finish the game. Right? So Dylan now fights through that. So he's gotten better. So I believe if that was to happen again, he would play the next night. He would go on that run. And that's what it's about. It's about what's the right stuff. Here's the saying that goes. It says success is a result of good judgment, right? Good judgment is a result of experience, and experience is a lot of times a result of bad judgment, so to speak. So if he could do that again, I'm not saying it was bad judgment. It was just he would have played the next night and he could have gone on that run.
Yeah. Do you have Dylan's bucket there?
Yes, I do, from Vegas. This is from Vegas.
Yeah. Let's have a look at this.
When he was with Vegas.
When I was down at your place, I saw this hanging out in your living room. I'm like, what the hell is this? And like, oh, Dylan forgot his bucket here. And I put it on. So then I messaged Dylan like, hey, look who's in Vancouver, and I got his bucket on. He's just like, what are you doing with that? Where is that? He had no idea where it was. It was really funny.
I know. Yeah. No, that's pretty cool. I work with Yuri Patera now. Yuri is he played 2 games for Vegas last year, and speaking of this, and he's close to being brought up again now.
Okay, so you're coming to Toronto on the 22nd of December, and you're going to be in Montreal on the 23rd of December. So the Mahadami Center is where you're going to be speaking. How do people find tickets? Where can they, find you?
Goalieseminars.com. Maybe we could put that in the thing. Goalieseminars with an S.com. And you can find me if you do goalie_mindset on Insta, then you will find me there. You'll see the information on there. And you can also go to my website, Pete Fry. That's all one word, PeteFry.net. Remember, you're a goalie. PeteFry.net. You can find the information on there as well. And it's going to be great to be live. We go on the ice for an hour. We put everything together. We're going to do a board break. I was going to bring the glass walk, but I'm not going to do that. Some parents, I think, would have been a little bit too concerned. So don't worry, we're not going to do that.
Insurance.
We'll do a board break. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. You're going to break out of your
workshop.
It starts at 11 a.m., goes to 7 p.m. Same time in Toronto as it is in Montreal the next night. Yeah, we're in Montreal on the 23rd, same time, 11 to 3.
And where are you in Montreal?
Montreal, I am at Courtier, Quartier, Courtier Hockey. So there's a hotel right beside it where we do the seminar. Then we go on the ice at Courtier Hockey.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so you got a little bit of like on ice training as well, and then they're going to come off the ice. Then walk us through some takeaways. Give us 3 takeaways that each parent can guarantee.
3 takeaways. The confidence anchor. We will learn that off the ice. We'll go on the ice. We'll put it together when you're on the ice. Pre-face-off routine. So you treat every face-off the same. A lot of goalies treat every face-off different. That'd be like wearing a different set of pads every face-off, right? And so we do a pre-face-off routine. You'll learn the pre-face-off routine to get your ultimate hype level, your 10 out of 10 in confidence, and to be dialed in on what you need to be dialed in on. And then we go on the ice and we practice that. Then also bounce back as well too. We'll practice bounce back, because you think of it like I've worked with some National Hockey League goaltenders on their bounce back, but the main thing that I do is I get them to practice it. practice it, because or it's like a goalie learning a new thing, learning the RVH, and then saying, okay, great, here's how you do it, go do it.
Yeah, in
You got
theory,
to
it
practice
works.
it. Yeah, you got to practice it again and again. Bounce back is the same thing. You got to practice that, and so we will put that into practice there. You'll also set some targets for the second half of your hockey season, and with that, we'll help you do a board break there. And there's lots of fun stuff that you're going to do as well too. Plus, you'll probably be recognized on social media at some point during it. We'll have our whole social media team there as well. Yeah.
Well, I'm super excited about seeing you here in Toronto again on the 22nd, Pete.
Yes.
We'll put all the links up on the podcast as well, so that way people
Let's
can
do
know
it.
where to go. We at Padskins will be there as well. We're going to be out to help support Pete, and we'll bring some swag down for you guys. We'll do some giveaways. We got some hair products from Mixed Chicks, as well as some swag from Padskins as well. And we're going to see you all on the 22nd. And before we go, Pete, just let us know one more time where we can find you.
Either goalieseminars.com or petefry.net, and or on Insta, goalie_mindset.
Well, Pete Fry, we want to thank you for coming on the show, and we will see you in December, man.
Yes. Okay, fantastic, Chuck. And next time we'll do a visualization. I got to hop on a Zoom with some goalies right now, but next time we'll do a viz for you.
You gotcha.
For your game.
That's
but
Pete
be in
Fry,
the athlete
mindset.
Be in the athlete mindset in your game, Chuck. Be in the athlete mindset. So number one, love it when your team takes penalties. Like, love it. It's your chance to shine. Two, when your team has a puck, crave the turnovers. Okay, like crave it. That way you got early eyes. You're ahead of the play. Yeah. And three, forget about the clock. Your job's the same, Chuck. 5 minutes into the game, halfway through, or 5 minutes left. Embrace. The only time that matters is being in the moment. You are Chuck frickin' Bastie. You are a wall.
I am Chuck frickin' Bastie.
Yes.
Pete Fry, thanks a lot for coming on the show, buddy.
We'll see you in December. Okay, bye.
And there you go. That's Pete Fry, the Goalie Mindset Guy, one of my guys near and dear to my heart. So here's his book, Goalie Mindset Secrets. He'll be in Toronto on the 22nd of December. There you go. And December 23rd, he will be in Montreal as well. So we'll have all the links posted up as well. Padskins and Mixed Chicks will be there as well with swag. And we're going to bring up Cam LaRock, my amazing producer. He's had a second time.
I'm amazing. Yeah, no, I was great. Pete's a very interesting character, and I love hearing all about it's a different side of hockey, because I play, I'm a defenseman. So I've never played goalie, never tried it. So I like to hear about, just the different perspective on the game from you guys.
Yeah, totally different perspective on the game, because it really is. And you know what, like, I didn't say this in front of Pete, but when I was out in Vancouver in September, him and I got to spend some time together. And literally, he's just literally on the phone nonstop. And to be fair, it's the beginning of the season, but every single goalie, like he's got, I don't know, like a handful of goalies right now, 5 or 6 that are in the NHL, a dozen or so that are in the AHL, a lot of top OHL, WHL goalies that are right now in junior that he's been able to mentor as well. And just the feedback that I'm talking to these guys, like, what's the difference it made for you? With Pete Fry. And the number one thing that everyone keeps saying, you know what? Like, I'm calmer. I have more confidence now. I have a different outlook in the game. And I'm like, well, where's that change you in life? And they're like, it's changed everything in my life. I'm much calmer outside of the ice. I'm a better teammate now. I don't think things as significantly as I did before. It's good for my mental health. I've got a person to bounce walls off of, or be able to talk about a bad game or what happened. And that's a huge difference for me in how somebody reconstructs a failure or a loss. Whereas before I would have just said, oh, we lost and there's no wins there. Now I see there's value every single time. Either we win or I learn. There's no lose.
Yeah. Can't lose. No.
Mm. Well, we want to thank Pete Fry for coming on the show and be able to talk about the Goalie Mindset Academy. You're going to see him on the 22nd in the Mahatma Center in downtown Toronto. If you get a chance to come down, I highly recommend coming down. It'll be the best day for your young goalie to come down there and learn new tools. Then 23rd in November. He'll be in Montreal as well just before Christmas. It'll be the greatest gift you can give your kid on the ice, off the ice with Pete Fry. So we want to thank Patskins for sponsoring this segment. We want to thank Mixed Chicks as well, our other sponsor, Holy Chuck Burgers. And we are looking forward to seeing you guys at the Mahogany Center with Pete Fry. And if you see me, come say hi. And that's it for Chuck's World of Infinite Mojo today. Thanks for coming. We'll see you soon.